I don't know about this one. So welcome back, everybody. In today's episode, I am going to destroy my pair of chainsaw chaps for you. Let's see, do these really stop a chainsaw? All right, so I've had this cheap pair of Forester chainsaw chaps for a very long time. Sometimes I wear them, sometimes I don't, but I have always been curious, do they do what they claim? Because these are extremely affordable. I buy them off Amazon for around $50, and I've got to wonder, at such a cheap price, will they actually stop a chainsaw from cutting into my leg? It's not uncommon to see some pairs of chainsaw chaps upwards of $200 from the big name brands. So am I actually cheaping out here? We're gonna find that out today with a couple of different saws. Now have no fear, since I'm destroying a pair of chaps for you, I bought me another pair right here. And boy, they couldn't be any brighter, could they? Same exact brand as what I currently have right here. Again, very affordable. I'll put a link down in the description. I buy mine off of Amazon if you wanna check them out. Now after today's test, you may not wanna buy none. We're gonna find that out. So what spurred me to want to do this test, I recently got a battery powered chainsaw, and man, does this thing make an insane amount of torque. It actually blows my mind how well this cuts. And I had one viewer tell me that they thought that this would be more dangerous than a regular chainsaw because of the way the motor spools up, I guess some of the moving momentum, and the torque that it makes. I have no idea if that's going to be true or not. So we're going to cut one leg today with my battery powered saw. And to make things really interesting, we're gonna pull out my biggest saw, my Stihl MS462. This thing is a beast, and we're gonna see if it'll rip through these, come out the backside, which would tell us we would be cut. All right, for starters, I just went with the excavator, grabbed a log that was about the size of a leg. That'll be good. We can buckle around right now, make sure these don't fly around on us. If you're not familiar with chainsaw chaps, they have a tough outer coating. That's good because you're always around stickers, briars, logs, sharp tools, and of course, chainsaws. And supposedly on the inside is a bunch of fabric that will actually wrap up in the chain itself. That's how these work. It's not that you can't cut through. It's supposed to rip out a bunch of those fibers that get caught in all of your teeth right here and pull them back into where the sprocket and all is. Basically wedging the chain in here with all those fibers, so, well, it just can't turn anymore. The power of the motor can't overcome it. That's where some people were telling me maybe the torque of an electric saw could overcome that. We're gonna find out. All right, so here we are with my Husqvarna 350i Power Axe. This is a big battery powered saw right here. It's actually very, very powerful. I'm blown away. It outcompetes most of my mid and lower size saws that I have here. So since this is one that a viewer said they had concerns about chainsaw chap stopping, we're gonna find that out right now. So let's see how this works and what all happens. This has two different modes, a low mode, an eco mode, and a high performance mode. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in boost, which is as fast as this will run. All right, here we go. I'm gonna run it up to full speed, put it in it, and let's hope it doesn't go through into the log. As thin as these feel, I'm afraid that it's going to, but we're gonna find out. And I'm gonna cut right here in the midsection of the leg. I'm not gonna go through the pocket or anything any thicker. Let's see what happens here. Wow, that stopped so quick. And I don't think we cut through. So here is all those fibers I was telling you about. Let's go ahead and get this off and look at this up close. I can't believe how quick it stopped this saw. Well, first impressions, let's turn this off and get a battery out so we can't hurt ourselves. So you can see what happened. It just pulls all the fibers out of the inside of the pants right here. It did make it deep down in there, but you can take a look at the way those fibers are kind of strung in there, and then it pulls them out and has just wedged everything up into the saw. Basically just jamming the chain. Can't move it at all. All right, that was pretty cool. So let's take this cover right here off, get the saw loosened up, and see if we actually cut through on the backside. Well, plenty of junk in there from the last time I cut, but it was pines that I just cut, so that doesn't surprise me. All right, so now we can see exactly what happened. They did just what they're supposed to do. Here's the drive sprocket that the chain actually locks into. I know it's hard to see. So this stuff is just twisted all up in there, got all in around the drive sprocket, and just jammed it all up and stopped it. So I'm gonna have to get my knife out, cut this stuff out. All right, so there's the bar. I wanna make sure I get that cleaned out too. See how there's fibers down in the track? Oh, I've got a mess. Why did I decide to do this video? All right, let's start cutting this mess out. And I want to make sure I don't cut through the pants and ruin our results here. Okay, there's the chain. Let's get all this mess off of the sprocket itself. That may be easier said than done. Oh man, it's deep in there. Look at that. It wrapped around the sprocket a bunch of times. So all that was in and around the sprocket. That'll definitely stop it. Okay, the saw's out, cleaned up. Now the real test, did we cut through? No, we did not, y'all. That is awesome. There's actually still, well, look. We did make it all the way through the woven fibers, but then there is another layer of like some padding and stuff back there. So we were getting close, but the padding is not even cut. It still had a ways to go. That's kind of thick. Oh, it feels like there may be another layer of fibers behind that padding. I think there is. So we definitely wouldn't have made it through. If there's 2 different layers of this and we never touched the second, that's pretty good, y'all. That's really good. All right, so far so good. $50 pair of chaps would have just saved my leg. You know, as I think about it, I'm actually happy I'm doing this test, because if you're gonna buy a pair of chaps and trust that they're gonna do what they say, the best way to know is to actually test this out. Otherwise, you're out there just kind of gambling. Very impressive results from a cheap pair of chaps with an electric saw. What about a beast of a gas-powered saw? I don't know about this one. Well, shut the saw off completely. Now here's something we need to note. Yeah, it pulled the pants into me and it ripped the pants so violently around the log that I actually cut into the log, which would have been your leg. So keep that in mind. That's probably all the more reason to cinch your chaps down even tighter. But I've got to think, in reality, you're not going into your leg this hard. You nick off, you catch the pants, and they pull in. But that's something we need to evaluate here in a second. But this literally shut the saw completely down and twisted these chaps all up. I cut through the strap too. Well, they did their job, but we did cut the tree. All right, so I don't know how y'all feel about that. I don't think that would matter with any type of chaps you have unless they go all the way around your legs. That may be a good reason why. With us here in hot 100-degree Florida, I don't think I'm wearing chaps that go all the way around my leg. I'm just not gonna do it. So the chaps were over, but when it grabbed so violently, it just pulled the chaps into the saw and then exposed the log. I don't think we actually cut through the chaps, but I don't know till we get this mess figured out. Now this got pulled in way more violently than it did with the electric saw, and that makes sense. I mean, this is a much more powerful saw. So we've got fibers that made it all the way back around, but we've got a major wad up here, jamming it up again. Let's get this all apart. All right, let's get this mess figured out. This is a pretty fun test, even though we're destroying stuff. Oh man, that's tight. Oh yeah, this choker's on there tight. There's a lot of stuff wedged up in there. Hopefully I didn't damage my saw. All right, so let's take a look down in here. A huge chunk of it wedged all up in here and got in between the cover that I just took off. I think that's what did the majority of our stopping. We can now start pulling all that mess out. And just like last time, the sprocket is ate up in here, chain is shoved out. That stopped us as well. All right, yeah, we tore the pants up big time this time. Oh man, ripped them to shreds. That's a bummer, but I guess it does tell us something. So since we grabbed on this side and it pulled the pants around the log, I wound up cutting from the back side and ripping that open. So we can't actually say if I cut all the way through or not. I don't think we did. I don't think we did at all. I think we just pulled it around, grabbed the back side, because I even cut through the strap whenever it ripped around. So that's worth knowing. It 100% stopped the saw. That's what you want. You don't want the saw to keep going, eventually getting down into meat, muscle, and well, then bone and everything else. It shut the saw down within a fraction of a second. It does not look like we came through from what I can tell. No, actually I know we didn't. Look, here is the inside fabric. Beautiful condition. This is the outside. Here's the other outside. And then there's a middle layer of fabric. So it looks like there's at least 3 layers. And I can look at the middle layer, we're good. So the cut on the back side is just when it pulled it around. Now it's worth noting, it ripped it around so violently, it could do that on you as well. But again, I can see it doing that with any style chaps out, unless you have some that fully encapsulate the leg and maybe zip up from the back side. There's no way I could wear those down here. I would have an absolute heat stroke. Well, let's see if we can get this mess undone. Wasn't too bad getting the electric saw cleaned up. This one may be a different story since it pulled out more fibers. Uh-oh, see, look at there. Our little sprocket, roller sprocket on the end, it was jammed up, not wanting to move well. That's a good way to burn up a very expensive bar. Gotta make sure I got this stuff out of everywhere. So smaller saw, electric saw, which by the way cuts very well, not a remote problem at all. Didn't even pull it around the log. Did not cut through, no issues. Big, powerful saw, again, we just confirmed, it did not actually cut through, but we had so much moving momentum, so much speed and RPM, it did actually pull this around the log and catch the backside. Is that a fault of the chaps? Not necessarily. I think all chaps are gonna do that. It also could be that I had them super loose, did not have them cinched down like I should have, and were on a log, not a human leg, not what they're designed to be on. I can honestly say I 100% trust these chaps, even for the $50 range. That did kind of have me a little worried, wondering that if I accidentally mess up while out in the woods and nick myself, it looks like 100% it's going to pull into the saw, stop the saw, and at the very least keep me from getting cut. All right, y'all, thanks for watching. A lot more content coming. We'll catch you on the next one.